ACH Universal helps you create ACH files for processing electronic transactions such as paying employees by direct deposit, collecting payments from customers, or paying vendors. Our software works with all U.S. commercial banks and all major accounting packages and is fully integrated with QuickBooks. QuickBooks users stop here and switch to our QuickBooks Integration video. Step 1. Run a transaction report from your accounting package or software and save it as an Excel or CSV file. Step 2. Import the file into ACH Universal. And Step 3. Create an ACH file and transmit it to your bank. Let's start with Step 1. Run a report of your payments and collections and export it. Your exported file should look similar to the one shown here. The columns or fields you'll need are amount, name, account number, ABA routing number, and whether the account is checking or savings. ID numbers and dates aren't required, but you might want to show them for reference. If your file doesn't have all of these fields, don't worry. You can use ACH Universal's profiles to store banking information for your customers, employees, and vendors. With your file ready, let's go to Step 2, importing your transactions. Select Import Transactions. Select File. Your data can also be copied and pasted into the grid using the Paste button. Next takes us to the mapping screen. Since I've imported data before, ACH Universal automatically saved my mapping selections. I've mapped amount, name, bank account number, routing number, and the checking or savings field. The sign in the amount field determines whether the transaction is a debit or credit. Your file can contain any combination of positive or negative amounts. If you want to flip the sign, simply map the column with amount reverse sign. To map additional fields, select Show All Fields to view all available fields. Next is the Review Records screen. Here you can confirm your total debits and credits, the net amount and record counts, and view imported records. You can also review invalid rows. Invalid rows are typically report or column headers. Blank rows or other rows ACH Universal excludes. Select Next and Finish. You can now import more files or manually add records. To manually add a record, select Add a Record. Enter the transaction details, or if you've created profiles, you can select a name and quickly populate the fields. I'll select one of our employees, Ben Franklin, and give him a $1,000 bonus. Now we're ready for Step 3, creating and transmitting the ACH file. Select Create ACH File. Notice the summary at the bottom of the screen. There's no need to print this summary. ACH Universal maintains a full audit trail. But what happens if you need to make a change? Suppose my boss wants to change the payment date of Ben Franklin's bonus. Since I haven't created my ACH file, I can still update the transaction by going to Untransmitted Records and using Excel-style filtering to find and change the date of Ben's bonus. To show the update, I rerun the report and export it to Excel. I can then email it to my boss. Now let's create the ACH file. Select the Create ACH icon and two things happen. My ACH file is created and the transmission process starts. We're using Web Upload, the most popular method of transmission. Enter the address of your bank's login page, and each time an ACH file is created, the page will open and you can upload the file. Other transmission options include FTP, SSL, and SSH. Ready to get started? Create your first account by selecting File, New Account. Enter the name of the account and complete the wizard. You can now create ACH files for in-house testing. When you're ready to test a file with your bank, select ACH Setup and enter your bank's name and ABA number and your company name and ID number. You can now test a transmission with your bank. What are you waiting for? Thousands of companies of all sizes already use our software and recognize us as a leading supplier of treasury management products.